the biggest issues plaguing modern men is that the vast majority of them lack a tribe of other virtuous, trustworthy, masculine men who gather for the sole purpose of improving themselves and their lives on a daily basis. Most men simply float through space, working a dead-end job, only to go home to a nagging wife or girlfriend that doesn't respect them. Their friend circles are nothing but fat, low testosterone losers who are more concerned with what sports teams are playing this weekend and what bar they're going to watch the game at. If these men are lucky enough to unplug from the comforting lies that modern society sells them and decide they want more out of life, they look around and realize they need to get into a better room. That's where a private community of men chasing excellence comes in. Men in our community have all committed to being the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. They willingly run toward challenges, knowing that pushing themselves out of their comfort zones is the key to unlocking their true potential as men. If you're ready to take control of your life back and curate a network of successful and knowledgeable men, now is the time to seize the opportunity.
Alrighty then. What's going on, brother?
What's happening?
We're back. Yeah, we're back. Okay. We have a join link already in the live chat for you guys. If you are inclined to hop on in and ask us a question or challenge us on something, we'd love to have a conversation with you. It's always there. What's been going on this past week is bookmark now. I'll start out with the first thing in the title. I mean, to be clear, Elon Musk is not giving me a car, but I did put this tweet out. Let me put it up on the screen over here so we can see it. And I mean, I've just been enjoying the whole Doge thing and the US aid, and really, like, I don't like electric cars. You guys have heard me for a while. I've just not been a huge fan. Like, I legitimately do dislike them, but I'm also thinking about buying one just to support Elon Musk and what's been going on, because I know he's been taking some flack by some of his prior customer base. But, you know, he actually responded to me and said, Tesla's rock. And shortly after that, I got a email from, or not an email, but a DM from his, one of his people, this gal that is in Nevada. And she says, hey, you know, can we send you one of our cars for a week so you can try it out? So I said, sure. And they offered me a Plaid S, which I graciously accepted, which I don't know, they have like 1,015 or 1,050 horsepower or something, Moff. Should like rip my face off. We'll see. I don't know. Like driven something with electricity with that much power. I did drive a P85 Tesla S back in 2015, like when they first opened up like one of the early dealerships in Toronto, because we had a EO meeting around the corner. We're like, oh, let's go see these, you know, new Tesla things and talk to them and see what it's all about. And I was just like, okay, whatever. So I'm going to drive down there Wednesday, drop off my car, pick up this Plaid S, and I'll have it for a week. So I'll make a video or two for the EIC channel, and you'll get a legit review from a guy that's an absolute petrol head, loves exotic cars, doesn't really like electric cars, driving a Plaid S. So keep an eye open for that in the future. But I thought that was kind of cool. You know, it's kind of the world that we live in now. You can social media some shit, and the richest man in the world goes Tesla's rock, and a few minutes later, one of his people message you and says, hey, can we send you one of our cars? That's fucking good business. That's really smart. That's a real way to run business. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know all of that. I knew that he responded to the tweet, but I didn't know that he was going to send you a car, which is just, yeah, that's badass. That's nuts. Yeah, it's where we live in, man. He's really done what he set out to do with the platform. You know, he made it where it really is this social marketplace. It is the marketplace of ideas. It's where people spend the majority of their time. People are building relationships, finding each other. It's still not better than Instagram for, you know, things like dating and things like that. But as far as exchanging ideas and having conversations with people, and it'll never fix the problem of just random accounts just talking just ridiculous trash to you that can't back it up. But I saw something funny today where I wish I had thought of this, and who knows, I would never be able to bootstrap this, but it's like, I'm going to make a dating app, but it's not a dating app. It's just a swiping app for guys, whether they would fight each other or not. and it's called contender. It's like contender. It's if you both swipe right, then you both have to fight. I was like, that's amazing.
You've been pretty vocal about people that are like challenging you physically and being like, all right, step into the ring. Like, why don't you put on some gloves and we'll hit it.
People are so weird, man. I had an exchange with this guy this past week. Now, this was a dude who's a follower. This is a guy who followed me on Instagram, watches our stuff. I think maybe
Did you?
He said something. No, he DM'd me something like a joke, like, I put I did like an Ask Me Anything. I did an AMA on Instagram, what I do sometimes when I'm bored. And he was just like, can I box you? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And then he DM'd me, like, oh man, I was just joking. I know you talk about it on one of the shows. I just ignored it. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then the guy came back last week and did it again. He's like, yeah, I still think I could take it. I was like, okay, man, I'll be in Toronto 3 times this year. Let's run it. And like I was just joking. I got, I was like, okay, so you don't want to fight me. You just wanted to get my attention. Like you're like a girl. He's like, yeah, it worked, didn't it? Now you're responding. And I was like, look, man, this is a bad strategy. If you want to get somebody's attention or if you want to get their eyes on something, like baiting them or goading them into something is not a good idea. And also, you don't know me, man. Like I could be a psycho. And you got your photo up publicly. Your daughter is in your photo. I have your full first and last name. I know what city you live in. It'd be pretty easy for me to find you. I'm not saying I would ever do this, but it's like there's a lot of crazy people out there that don't take kindly to that kind of stuff. And he thought it was all one big joke. And it's like, and then he turns into, oh yeah, man, well, like you'd have to come up here and train me and maybe we could I'd be like, he goes, oh, I'd pay you to whip me into shape. I'm like, I'll do it for free. I'll kick your ass for free. Don't worry, dude. Yeah. So anyway, and then I just eventually blocked the guy, but yeah, it's weird the things people will say just to get your attention. And a lot of it is, I'll fight you. It's like, okay, like I accept. Yeah. Let's go. Like, please, you should have to now. You put it in writing. It's a verbal contract. Make it happen.
It's funny because I've tripped across the odd, not directly from the individual, but from somebody that passed on the information from the individual that they wanted to fight me. And I'm just like, why don't they fucking say something to me directly? Like, why is this message coming through you? Right. It's like, okay, no problem. Or somebody will say something like, if I'll make a comment, because I've been coming at Zelensky hard this past week, with all those, like this nonsense needs to end. And there's always an idiot that's like, oh, he's more of a man than you are and he could kick your ass. I'm like, dude's a manlet. I could literally kick his ass with one arm tied behind my back. Like boxing him would not be hard. I really don't think it would be a problem. But there's always, we used to call these guys telephone tough guys. I think I've mentioned this before. Like when I was in collections, there was always a tough guy that was on the phone. He's like, I'm going to kick your ass, this, that, and the other thing. And then they'd walk in and make a payment and you'd walk out and they were just like the nicest person, or they would never like even like make a move, or they were small or weak or thin or something like that. They just, the Tyson said it, right? Like everybody's really comfortable today with, throwing shade because they're keyboard warriors, right? And they're not used to getting punched in the mouth for saying and doing, certain things. But it is what it is. I mean, I think a duel was a reasonable way to settle differences back in the days, often with muskets or pistols or a fight or something like that. I don't see a problem with it. I mean, if you're going to run your mouth, you should be able to, throw hands too.
And what's so interesting is that the vast majority of the people, there's a really easy way to know somebody can't fight is if they're threatening to you, saying they want to fight you and kick your ass. Like I go to a gym owned by an active UFC fighter and veteran. He's the nicest guy in the world. Like my coach is a professional MMA fighter. And I remember, the guy that owns my gym, he fought here in Tampa a couple months ago and he lost, unfortunately got knocked out, and it was a hell of a good knockout if you're on the right end of it. And then, like the comments, man, I was live. It was at the hockey stadium here in Tampa. And I was like going to the bathroom and hearing guys that are like cussing out the guy's name, saying, oh, I lost my parlay because of you. You don't belong in the UFC. Like you're a punching bag, like you're a tomato can. And it's like, dude, like the guys that, and he's the nicest dude in the world. Like he doesn't fire back to people. He's just like, whatever, man. It's just people like, yeah, you can't fight, dude. I don't know what you're doing in the UFC. And those guys are just the most humble guys that would never start anything with anybody, even though they could literally kill you with their bare hands, which I've just always thought is so interesting. That's why it's like when there's a dude that's quiet and the guy's very matter of fact, like, okay, let's fight. Like, that's not a guy you want to tussle with. The guy that's yelling about how
Zach?
Badass he is.
Do you remember Zach, the guy that I brought up for that Heroes trip? We did some boxing.
Yeah,
the mitts around for us.
Yeah.
So he was my trainer for 3.5, 4 years. And I mean, you only saw him with the mitts, but he used to throw hands at the heavy bag without wraps or a glove.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Hard like this. And he's not a big guy. He's shorter than me for sure, but he was tough. Like he was a tough, I don't call him a kid, but he was a tough, and he was a really, really nice guy too. Like super fucking nice guy. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Whenever somebody is like, oh, I can kick your ass, they can't. Like
0%
anybody that
chance
knows
they
how
can.
to fight is very humble.
Doesn't
like
do that because they understand the reality of violence and what can possibly happen. Like they get it. Yeah. So easy way to tell. I get so mad, bro. Like, okay.
I will fight that guy in the tub though. You know, if he's coming up.
I know. I want to set it up.
Like,
I can't
we'll
wait.
bring up the gloves and we'll fucking throw some hands.
I would love to see that. Yeah. I would love to see guys spar more. We're going to try to do that at a couple meetups this year. We're going to break the gloves out and we're going to see what guys are made of. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll settle our differences that way. Let me throw this one up here on the screen. This is it's a video clip. Some people are saying that this is staged. I don't think it's staged, but this is an example of why you don't let your girl hang out with men from their past.
What'd you do? What'd you do? You cheated on me? Say yes or no. Stop crying, dude, and tell me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what? Tell me.
Because he wanted to see me.
Ooh.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but she's saying because he wanted to see me, my ex, right?
No, stop. Wait, don't leave. Babe. Babe, don't leave, babe. Babe. You don't know what happened.
You went to go see him, that's what happened.
Okay, but you don't even know what happened. Babe, stop.
Oh, we know what happened by her reaction, right?
Don't grab that. Don't throw that.
This is our track.
They stop. You're breaking my
I
stuff.
don't care, dude. I'm gonna take you home and that's it.
They stop.
We're
No,
done.
don't take my stuff. You don't.
You get the idea, right? It's just never, ever, ever, ever a good idea to, you know, let a gal keep a relationship with a guy from her past. You just have to put your foot down. It's very simple. You know, I just don't take women seriously. I'm not going to invite you to my life if you want to hang out with dudes from your past. I had this question asked of me on a podcast recently too. It's like, you know, do you have any female friends? You follow any women on social media? You know, do you hang out with any women? It's like, no. I just don't. Like, what am I like? Unless I want to bang her, why else would I hang out with her? It's very simple, right? Like if I want to do anything interesting or fun, like I've got guy friends that I'll do stuff with, like, but this whole notion of, oh, you know, well, they're just friends and you don't want to ruin that friendship, or they've been friends since they were in kindergarten, Moff. So, you know, why don't we just let them be friends? It's like,
it's always that.
No good
like,
comes out of that.
Friends for a long time. He's been a family friend. I used to babysit him. It's like, that's even worse. He probably used to crank it to you because you were his babysitter. Yeah, I always think it's funny when guys fight so hard to defend female friendships. They're like, you know, like they have a different perspective, and yeah, you tell them things you can't tell your boys. I'm like, then you don't have friends. You don't have a brotherhood. You don't have a tribe. You need to fix that first. But no, it continues to baffle me that guys will continue to make excuses for why they just hang around with women in their lives. And it's just like, I think the more and more that I interact with people on this platform and just even day to day, the more that I think we are in tune with our biology and our instincts, then more people are willing to admit. Like everything we do is driven by our innate behaviors. And we think that we're making conscious choices, or that we're like, oh, we're not knuckle dragging cavemen anymore, or whatever it might be. But no, we are very much are still animals, and we very much still have not. Like when you think about the course of evolution in hundreds of thousands of years, like, sorry, man, that stuff doesn't, your internal hardwire doesn't get overwritten in 80 years, 100 years. It's just not the way that it works. Yeah, and any guy that wants to defend his relationship with a woman that he's not banging, either wants to bang her or has already and is lying, or he just wants to keep her around. Like it's really plain, easy, and simple. But people love to complicate their lives, and they love to lie so they can continue to try to pull one over on people.
Yeah, don't do that shit. I don't know if you heard, but Trump is offering an E2, not an E2, sorry, a golden visa. We're talking about introducing a golden visa program. Let's put this up on the screen over here. You've probably seen a few of these guys online or on YouTube that talk about where to go, where taxes are lower, blah, blah, blah. And it seems like Donald Trump's cooking up this idea to draw in high net worth individuals to the United States because he's deporting all of the problems and wants to bring in some wealth. So check this out.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
President,
Wait a minute.
For that
Hang on a
gold
sec.
card, do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So the EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The president of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have 35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see. But it could be great. Maybe it will be fantastic. We have it all worked out from the legal standpoint. It's totally legal to do. Hasn't been done before. It's been done in many different forms. We give them away. Why should we give them away? We shouldn't give them away. And I think it's something very exciting. I think it's potentially just something that we're all very excited about.
So let me just go back to here to the full screen. So as a guy that's contemplating a move, this is interesting because it's like, he's basically saying, cough up $5 million and you can become a citizen, or we'll accelerate the path to citizenship for you. I have no doubt that people will buy it just because they got so much freaking money and they live in Hong Kong or Saudi Arabia or something like that. And they're just, they've got more money than what they know to do with, and they'll just get a citizenship because why wouldn't you? But here's the thing. You can marry an American, which is probably the cheapest way, or you can do it via the route of an E2 visa where you make a investment in a business in the United States. The visa application fee is $315 instead of $5 million. and you don't get immediate citizenship, of course, but it's a path to it. So there's other ways to go about it. I mean, I could easily say, hey, Moff, let's set up a podcast studio in Tampa, and go the E2 visa route or whatever. But I thought that was an interesting proposal. I have no doubt people will take it, but I don't think they're going to sell 1 million of these things. That would be substantial.
Yeah.
Very substantial.
Yeah, interesting idea, but I mean, is it better than any alternative we have right now? Like you said, like we could start a business easily and pay a small little fee and just say, hey, look, okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. Obviously, the debt is something that he's focused on handling, but I don't know. I think you're right. I think there's some good guys out there that are going to buy it just for the hell of it. But do I see it as a realistic path to trimming the deficit in some significant way? No. I don't want more immigrants in the U.S. I want fewer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why other governments aren't figuring this out. Like, they're just opening their borders and they're letting people float. I said this earlier today on social media. It's like, you get all these leaders like Trudeau and Keir Starmer and Macron and all that sort of stuff, and they're adamant about protecting Ukraine's borders. But they do virtually nothing to protect their own borders. They're letting people invade their countries in like rubber dinghies and claim asylum who are causing nothing but havoc, within those borders. It's just so bizarre to me that they're so interested in protecting Ukraine's borders, but do very little to nothing to protect their own citizens and allocate taxpayer revenue to their own citizens. Like they put up these fake asylum seekers in first-class hotels. They're doing it in New York right now, right? We saw that during the I don't know if you saw the Joe Rogan Elon Musk interview, but he was talking about the use of government funds, welfare funds, to put up asylum seekers in first-class hotels in New York City. It's crazy stuff. All right, switching gears to something else over here. I got another bookmark because I find Myron Gaines funny. He's a lot of people take him a little too seriously, but I shared this the other day and I just said, black women, I don't understand why Myron Gaines talks crap about us, right? And then it's like, then you see stuff like this. This is the Desirable Truth, I think it's called.
If you met an attractive man and y'all had a good conversation.
Anywho, thank bitches in the way. Hey, we're ready for questions.
What's your name?
I'm Key.
They just barge right in, eh?
And you? Why do you think it's appropriate to just run up in our interview mid-conversation?
I ain't gonna lie, they white and I don't give a fuck.
I never gave. Are you just looking for attention?
No, never. I never gave a fuck. We want to be fun and come up in the video.
But if I'm in the
Look at this girl over here tapping her on the shoulder like, hey, do you mind?
middle of a conversation with two people.
I'm sorry, y'all ain't no disrespect down below. You come with it? What? So what's the problem now? What's the problem now?
I mean,
we are girls. We are girls, aren't we? Anywho, what's next?
If you
let Myron roast him. It's all good. All right, let's go to this next one over here. Oh my gosh. Did you ever see that black and white clip of that teacher? Oh, hang on. I got to put it up on screen. You got to hear this. Check this out. This is classic. This is the teacher.
Boys have to be the leaders. Who do you think goes to fight the wars? The boys. They don't send women over there. You know why? We'll probably lose the war. Because they'd start talking and they'd forget what they were over there.
That never gets old, man. Like, the way that this is my grandparents' generation. This is definitely my grandparents' generation, I would say, because the haircut, like, the haircut looks exactly like my Nana's haircut, right? So this is like the 1940s or 50s or something like this. This is just how they were. This is how things were. It's like, now it's like, you see these women protesting in the street because Trump doesn't want to give Zelensky money, or because of the way that he was treated or bullied, quote unquote bullied sort of thing. And it's like, back in the day, they were just like, wars, and they're kind of like, you don't want to do, like, very clear about stuff, like cut and dry. Oh, hang on, remove that. Let me go to the next one. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. The Nothing Burger, the teacher. Oh, you ever see those lists of billionaires, Moff?
Mm-hmm.
90% of billionaires are men and only 15% are female. But they're not self-made. The vast majority, I mean, you can dig up the article for yourself, but the vast majority of wealthy women on these lists of, Forbes richest people and stuff like that acquired their wealth because they call it the $1 billion boys clubs, like how gender disparity and wealth concentration will affect us all is like the subtitle of all this. But it's like they earn women that are on that list that have landed on the list. The vast majority of them landed there because of divorce or inheritance, like Bezos, for example, right? But nobody's telling people these facts. It's like, we'll call it the $1 billion boys clubs and how gender disparity and wealth concentration affects us all. It's not fair that these men concentrate all the wealth. Got another one here for you. So this is a TikTok, and I don't really understand this trend. Maybe we can talk about it after I play it. But there's this, I don't know. There's this trend of women that are well past their prime, like into their 50s, 60s, or whatever, making TikToks about why they disqualify men. So just check this out over here.
I've had to let Mr. Adelaide go, and here's why. During a conversation with Mr. Adelaide, he complimented me by saying, "You look fit, you look like you work out." But then he hit me with, "How much do you weigh?" And it didn't sit well with me. And I challenged him a little bit on that question. I said, "What do you mean? How much do I weigh?" And we went through a whole bunch of numbers. And, look, I told him what I weigh because, it is what it is. But I didn't like the question. And I don't think weight is a conversation that you need to have with someone who you've never met. And I think that down the track, there's going to be a little bit of coercive control on this. Asking what my weight is, which is a controlling thing. Now, one of the followers has commented saying it's not a vanity thing. He's not asking you about a vanity thing. He's asking you with the subtext of it being a controlling kind of personality. When I asked him what his top 5 qualities were when he's looking for a partner, he said appearance, chemistry, banter, sexual chemistry he listed twice. And I'm like, come on, Mr. Adelaide, get deeper. Tell me loyalty. Tell me support. Tell me inspiration. Tell me something that's not just visual. So I sent him a text last night. I don't feel like we're engaging properly, and I'm kind of bowing out. And I wish you all the best with your search. He hasn't responded yet. But the more I've thought about it, the more I think, no, that's not for me. I want someone to adore me for who I am. I want to adore them for who they are. He did actually question my coffee order. He said, "Do you have full fat milk in your latte?" I said, "Well, I have a macchiato, which has no milk." And he said, "Oh, good. There's no calories." And I was like, ooh, okay. Life's about balance, but I don't want pressure from someone monitoring my food intake. So bye, Mr. Adelaide.
So Adelaide's in Australia, for those of you that don't know. You ever been asked about what your height is?
Yes, many times.
It's like one of the first questions I usually ask is like, well, how tall are you? Yeah. Why is it okay for women to say, well, how tall are you, when men can't say, well, how much do you weigh?
I guess these two hadn't met before. This sounds like this is a dating app conversation. This guy also messed up. Like, you don't ever answer questions seriously when you're dealing with women. Like, oh, what are your top 5? I'd be like, shutting up, making a sandwich, doing stuff, crab walking naked backwards into the room. Like, just, she's not looking for you to answer seriously, man. Like, if you do that stuff, you're falling into the trap. You're failing a shit test. But yeah, I don't know why on earth a 50 plus, potentially 60-year-old woman, the hubris and the look at me that the average woman has is ridiculous. It's like, who are you? Why should anybody care that you're getting on this and you're talking about how you're disqualifying a guy? Like, I've maintained many times on this show, I'm just a normal, regular ass dude. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm a tiny, tiny microcosm in a microscopic speck in the microscopic corner of the internet. Like, I'm just a regular nobody. But these women, man, they all think their own movie stars and their own main character of their life, which is a Hollywood movie, and they're performing for some phantom audience that is out there. But you get the Simps and all that stuff, so I guess there is somebody. But whatever. I don't know what else to say because I said something earlier today. Like I tweeted something, I responded to something you tweeted to, because there seems to be a lot
here.
of.
Why don't I put it up?
Yeah, bring that up.
Right, this is a gal with. I'm going to kill the music because it's going to copyright strike us. But it's just, her dancing to the caption, "Nobody will want you," with 4 baby daddies. And then she's doing a little moonwalk dance to it saying, my new guy basically did a custom bathroom for me. And it's like, this is why, like, you're never going to win. You made a good point when you sort of respond to that. It's like guys saying, I got her sort of thing. It's like there's always a dork out there that's going to give her the attention, that's going to give her what they want, which is why they're making, videos and stuff like this. Like, I gotcha.
Yeah, they will find somebody. Somebody will snatch them up. Like guys waste so much time. Like every guy that comes into the ladies' night comments, he's like, "Enjoy your boxed wine and your cats. You're gonna die alone. No man's gonna take you seriously." Like, sorry, they're going to. They will be fine. They'll probably get married. They'll probably have kids. Your amount of like, well, she's probably not going to be happy. It's like, but dude, in what way is any of you spending time or energy on that good for your life? It's a complete colossal waste of time. And I think it's because there's a lot of guys out there that are still in the rage phase and they want to see women fail. They don't want to see them win. And it's like, dude, like they're going to win whether you want them to or not. Maybe some won't, but most of them are. Most of them are going to get married. Most of them are going to have kids. Like it shouldn't be any of your concern. Now, on the flip side, if I'm this woman's husband and I see her post something like this, like she's basically like all I can see during that video she's dancing on a guy's grave who's still alive. She's dancing on her husband's grave, basically saying, "You took me. I'm self-admitting I'm a low quality chick with 4 kids from 4 different men. And not only did you take me, you built me a custom bathroom that I can dance in and make fun of people on the internet." Using basically you as a trophy, saying, "Ha, internet. I was able to trick this man into building this for me. And I have 4 other men that I've had kids with before him." But again, the reason that guy's with her is because he doesn't know how to set boundaries. He probably didn't take offense to it. He probably was the one filming, or he probably laughed at it. He said, "Ha, yeah, you tell those internet men, honey. Like, I'm so glad that I get to deal with Chad, Tyrone, and Chad, and your other kids that aren't mine." But they're going to be fine. That's the reality of it. Like, kill the revenge fantasy. Stop trying to get back at women by projecting that you want them to fail or be lonely in life, because the vast majority of them won't be.
Do you remember the sit down that JD Vance, Trump, and Zelensky had? I mean, pretty much everybody saw it, right?
Of course.
There was an exchange where Vance was confronting Zelensky about the forceful mobilization of men to conscript them into the military. And this is just kind of a thread of a whole bunch of these where, they're basically just forcefully grabbing men on the streets and basically, drawing them into the military. It's called conscription, or that's the terminology they generally, use in that part of the world. But they're dragging this guy in his car and he's fighting his way tooth and nail. There's a few others, one over there. There's another one over there. They're taping this guy up to a pole. I have no idea why. That's the same one. There was another one here where the guy was walking his dog down the street. Here, this one over here, watch.
Yeah, that's the one.
He was walking his dog down the street, and these guys just like run out and grab him. Look. The fucking military dudes and like the camo, they just chase him. He's running for his life.
Unbelievable, man.
Like, all of these people that are all, Zelensky's so strong and brave. Why doesn't Zelensky put his son in the war? I mean,
pick up a weapon. How about that?
But there's all of these, armchair warriors and all these people that are protesting now, and they're saying, "Oh, we got to support him," and I fully support him, and this, that, and the. Actually, that kind of brings me to this, and I don't think I should have a problem playing this. Let me just double check to see what it's set to. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. So Paul Joseph Watson, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of his stuff, but he did a really, really good breakdown over here. Hang on a second. Remove and stage. No. Hang on. Share this tab instead. There we go. And here's some of the highlights of it.
By Zelensky. Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. And the normies lost their minds. Before Duran.
Like, these are all the people that are having a hissy fit in the street. Oh, this one's good. This gal over here. I'm just going to kind of skip through it because it's like 11 minutes long.
Front lines.
Our disgusting Governor Donald Trump said in the White Supremacy House this morning. We're sick to our stomach. I've been losing sleep over this. If I could run over there and join the Foreign Legion and fight arm in arm with you, I could.
See, I don't know if you heard what she just said there, where she's like, if I could go and fight in the Foreign Legion, what's stopping you? Buy a plane ticket, fly to Kiev, pick up a weapon, AK, and
stand a post.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
I mean, I would, but it's like, no, I want the government to print
pay
more
for
money
it.
and send it over to this guy, right?
I'll buy your ticket.
All of these, like,
Make the difference. The current thing, flag is even back with a bang.
It's always the same thing. And like the entire video is filled with all of these like evidence pieces here of people throwing these hissy fits. Let me see what else. Oh, and then the best part of all of this was after Trump and Vance were like, yeah, I don't think so. Then he goes to the UK and France and Canada, and they all give him money. You know, it's like, it's like, you know, Moff and I are on the same team, and I don't know, like a member comes to us and goes, hey, you know, I want to do this batshit crazy stuff, and I go, no. And then Moff's like, you know, behind my back, he's like, oh, fuck Rich, you know, let's just get it done anyway, right? Like this is how the world is operating today. It's just bizarro, man. It's just absolute bizarro. Let me see here. So share this tab instead. Bookmark this one over here, which is a Reddit post, which is an interesting one relevant to step parenting. I talked about this on an Unplugged Alpha podcast dedicated to sort of like, you know, what you're in for when you think you're going to create the Brady Bunch. But the caption here reads, I've just left my wife and stepkids and I'm delighted. No more shitty vacations, quote unquote, because the kids will enjoy it there. No more shitty restaurants, quote unquote, because the kids don't like that food. No more, quote unquote, can't do this because of the kids. No more nightly beige food festivals because, quote unquote, that's what the kids like. No more ungrateful taxi service. No more poverty. No more being a cleaner servant banker. I can do whatever I like with whomever I like. Whenever I like, I'm officially out and over the mood. Never again. I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine who wifed up the single mom. They had a kid together, and the oldest son was just a dick. And he had asked him to cut the lawn, 17, 18 years old or something like that, asked him to cut the lawn, did like a third of it, and then just left the lawnmower out there and walked away. And he was telling me, like, I'm always driving this kid somewhere and he's not appreciative. I'm like, dude, the next time you're driving him somewhere, I go drive him a third of the way, pull over and say, get the fuck out.
Get out.
What do you mean get out? Well, you're only gonna do a third of the grass cutting, so I'm only gonna take you a third of the way to your destination. You can walk the rest of the way. Like, there's got to be consequences, and there's too much coddling and, you know, bubble wrapping of kids because, you know, because the kids will enjoy it, or because kids don't like to eat that, or because don't say that because you're going to hurt their feelings, right? And this is all a result of people divorcing and, you know, introducing other people into their households, trying to blend families and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's just, you know, this experiment just ain't working out, if you're asking me.
I thought it was really interesting. We had that woman on Ladies Night on Tuesday, and she was, you know, late 40s. And, you know, we've had a lot of women come on. They're like, oh, I got a divorce, or I left him because he was abusive. And it's, you know, or we just grew apart. And she was like, oh, he was in jail. I was like, oh, I'm thinking this guy is doing crazy stuff. And he was like a white collar criminal. It was like tax evasion. And I was like, the guy didn't beat the shit out of you. He didn't do anything to the kids. He didn't
probably like him more if he beat the shit out of her.
Probably, yeah. Maybe because maybe she went to jail for like a beta crime. So wow, you couldn't have even gone to jail for murder. Maybe I'd stay.
You couldn't even go to jail for murder, man.
Wow, you had to go for a pussy crime, like pussy ass white collar. Oh, tax evasion. Wow, dude. First day breaking the law, huh? But it's like, I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, why do you think that your options are going to be better out here? She had like a 17 and an 18-year-old and then like a 12-year-old. So yeah, 2 are out of the house, but you're stuck with that one for another half decade plus.
They're never out of the house.
I work so much. I'm focused on my business, and I think a lot of it is cope, because she said she'd be open to getting married, and I was like, you know what? I think you want to get married again a lot more than you're leading on, because it's like, oh, I'd be open to it, but I'm not married to the idea, which is just an easy way of saying, well, if it doesn't happen, then I didn't really want to anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's something I've started telling women, like, go reconcile when you're with your husband. Like, unless this guy,
that's good
like,
advice.
put your head into the stove, you should go back and try to reconcile with the father of your children as much as possible. Like, that's crazy. So the guy tried to keep more money than, maybe you're just mad because he didn't tell you about it and he was trying to hide money from you. That's probably why you're actually pissed, not because he went to jail. Anyway.
Yeah, I've heard the whole abusive relationship thing many times, and whenever I challenge it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, explain to me, what was the abuse, right?
It's almost never physical. It's almost never physical. It's mental. It's financial.
A lot of the times, whenever it does go to physical, it's like, oh, well, did you guys throw hands? Like, who hit who first? Well, I did get involved, and we saw that again with the ladies.
Got in his face. Yeah,
remember? Yeah, it's like,
yeah, she even admitted to it, which was kind of wild. She's like, yeah, I admit that I provoked him and this and that. But it was funny because she even kind of admitted it. She was like, oh yeah, I did it. And the other women were like, oh my God, there's no excuse. And she was like, no, like, I was dumb. Like, I got in his face.
Yeah.
I did the wrong thing and said the wrong thing too many times. And I got smart. And then I, because like in a lot of cultures still, especially the way that people were brought up, it was not I'll just say it, like, Black American culture, like, hitting your kids is not a thing that is uncommon. There was a guy that got, getting a switch, right? Like a tiny piece of a branch. I don't know if you ever heard of a switch. It's mostly a thing in the South. And you would take like a long, thin strip of, it was like a twig, like you would have like on a tree, on a branch, and you would smack your kid on the ass with it. You get the switch, get the belt, right? That's a thing until very, very, very recently. And so, like, again, it's just, we can't even have open conversations about this stuff. We have to dance around this because all of a sudden it's, now you're abusing children or you're for abuse and you think that hitting people is okay. And it's just the simple fact that we live in a world, in a place where you can't even have a discussion, I think is the worst part for me. So I just usually don't even bother, because people are too stupid to even have nuanced conversations.
Unfazed here says in a super, imagine if folks who were crybabies for a change, who get up in arms about foreign wars, would protest issues at home: homeless, drugs, tax, healthcare. They don't. They just, it's like, whatever the trending thing is. And I didn't play the whole video from Paul Joseph Watson, but there was, I think, about a dozen or maybe 24 tweets where they were all essentially copy pasted from all these foreign leaders around the world. So somebody in the WEF is like, let's write some copy here for the Zelensky situation so we can push back on Trump and get the normies to have a freak out. And then they'll send it out. They'll send the email out to probably 100 people. And then they copy and paste that tweet. And they're all identical. It's exactly the same tweet. And then Zelensky comes in and is like, thank you for your support. Copy and paste every single one of them as well. It's like, how do you not see this, people? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's like, think, use your brains, use the meatball.
People are afraid. They have to be, Rich. Like, they have to continue to plug in, because if they're able to sit there and say, I was wrong about this, their entire world comes crashing down. Everything is now on the table. COVID, the trans bullshit.
Going back to the COVID thing, man. It's like,
it's the number one. If you didn't wake up by then, you're lost.
And look, 70% of people took it, and they wouldn't let family come over. They would
died in hospitals when you couldn't be in the room.
They would push friends and family out of their life because of a media soundbite. I even have a friend of mine, I saw a photograph of him around the holidays, and he was sitting in a wheelchair. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I call him up. I'm driving. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? I haven't talked in a while. You okay? I saw your family photograph in the wheelchair. And he goes like, yeah, I had 2 really bad blood clots in my leg. I'll show you the photograph. I mean, Rich is lying, all this kind of shit. Fuck off. I'll show you. You text them to me. Check it out. It's disgusting. Look at this. Look at that. I don't know if you can, it's not bright enough, but hang on.
Yeah, but you can see it's like enlarged.
Yeah, but you can like that's just one of the legs. Look at that. Cut
my
right
God.
open. So, he sent me the photographs. He's like, yeah, I had 2 really bad blood clots and they took him out. He's, thank God it didn't end up in my brain. And dude's the same age as me. I went to school with him. Thank God I didn't have a stroke. I said to him, did you take the vaccination? He goes, yeah, I did. And he goes, and I was one of those guys that wouldn't let family come over if they didn't do it. And I'm really sorry. And, I shouldn't have been that guy. And in hindsight, it's 100% related to this, blah, blah, blah. Right. It's like, I heard another story of a guy that didn't take it because he was a roofer, and his wife convinced him to take it by saying, well, if you take it, I'll give you a blowjob. Like this is the barriers that people fold on. Like these are the hills that people die on, right? It's like, oh, I got a blowjob, so I'll go take this thing now, right? This experimental thing. And who the hell knows what happens down the road, but people are just like that, right? And I hear people all the time off, like kind of in my inner circle, like they're starting to, I'm pretty loud, right? Like I don't censor shit, right? So it's like I'll say it, like I'll call it as I see it. And I'm starting to hear people around me now, they're like starting to whisper like almost similar sound bites. And I'm like, you need to say that shit fucking louder. Okay. You need to say it publicly to people louder. Like, why am I the only one that's willing to say these things and everybody else is quiet about it, right? So encourage those people out there that are waking up, that are unplugging to, do the work, and spread the message.
Yeah, a lot of them can't, because again, like I said, it's if they wake up to one thing, they're going to be forced to look in the mirror. And a lot of people don't want to admit that they were fooled. A lot of people don't want to admit that they're wrong. They'll double and triple down because they don't want to see that they're wrong, because they think being wrong is weakness. And it's okay to be wrong. Like I'm wrong about a lot of shit all the time. But are you smart enough to retract your statement and say, yeah, I was incorrect, and now I've changed my position? But you take everything. You start with COVID, then it's the trans BS. Now it's Ukraine, and then pretty soon it'll be something else, right? There's always going to be something coming down the hopper. I mean, we haven't even talked about I don't know. I know you got some stuff you want to get through, but the Epstein Files and all that stuff was released. All that
all
week.
redacted.
So,
there was nothing to talk about. It was
all
a nothing burger.
redacted, and it's like pretty clear the guy was a agent from a particular set of people that was implanted. Nobody knew how he just showed up one day, had all of this money. Nobody knew how he made it. Nobody knew how he started just making connections with people. And now you've got the people that have promised to release these files, and they've promised to do all these things, and they're in the pockets of a certain group of people who are overwhelmingly represented in places like the media and Hollywood and banking and law and the way that the world works. I know we know who I'm talking about here. I know Bill Zarian's really gone hard as shit, like off the deep end when it came to this stuff. But look, why can't we ask questions? Why can't we at least just say, yeah, man, all of these things are pointing to a one group of people that is super overrepresented in everything that we're doing that matters? How come we can't ask questions? And when you're not allowed to question something, and when you're not allowed to say, hey man, this is, and then you're getting shamed, and you're getting, that you are on the right track. You're catching flack because you are over the target.
Yeah.
Just the world we live in.
Facts. Let me show you this clip over here. So this is, I just move around. There's no, order to this sort of stuff. It's like, oh, you order the money in one section and order the sexual marketplace in one section. This is just another example of don't listen to what women say. Watch what they respond to, because women will routinely say something like, "You guys should use this on ladies' night." Like, ask the girls.
Yeah, Spencer sent this to me today.
Yeah. Check this out. There's no speech here. It's just music. So I'm just going to kill the music. But if you can't see it on the screen, he's holding up a sign that says free hugs, wearing a baggy jacket and some baggy pants. And he's just standing there waiting for anybody. I'm assuming he's probably making eye contact with women and trying to get some free hugs. But just wait for it, because he's going to take off the jacket in a second. He drops the glasses. Sign goes back up, and watch what happens. Dude's built like Christopher Reeve or whatever, Superman. All the girls come in. Let's get some photographs. The entire clan of them comes in. Let's get a photograph for the free hug. Nobody would touch him, from the get-go. So again, guys, you have to be attentive to what women respond to, not what they say. Watch what they go for. I mean, Moff, you used to be fat, right? How did life change for you when you got rid of a lot of the fat and put on some muscle?
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot more attention. It changes everything. It's not just your physical. It's not just the attention you get, but guys will tell you, myself included, like the amount of attention you get from women, it's night and day difference. If there's one thing that guys can change that'll make the most drastic difference, it's their physicality and it's their fitness. Yeah, making money's all fine, well and good, but you're not on the playing field if you're not somewhat physically attractive. Like women aren't even looking at you. So yeah, physical fitness, like the guys that I know in the groups, the stuff that we do, the guys that are cleaning up the most, the guys that have hot women around all the time, they're in great shape. Like I don't know a single dude that would be associated with us that is not worth his salt fitness wise, that's doing well with women. It's almost
always
like
those,
it's not a thing.
There's always those guys who are like, well, what about that guy, RSD Tyler, the fat bald guy with the beard, and he's disgusting, and women throw themselves at. It's like, yeah, but you put a guy like Eaton beside him, who's got the same level of game, and he's going to steal
It's
your
not
girl.
even a contest. It's unbelievable. It's something that will elevate you to a completely different level.
So I don't know what it is with women screaming in their cars, but after the Zelensky, Trump, and Vance conversation, all of this stuff came out. Check this out. And then she looks out the window for approval or validation somewhere. Back to the camera.
Sticker book tattoos checks out.
Yeah, sticker book tattoos down the arms. Like she's crying.
Not even bad looking.
A mess. She's not an unattractive girl.
Thin.
Right? Thin, thankfully still. And then the finger goes. And there you go. Another scream. Anything else?
What is wrong with you?
I've never seen anything like this in my life, dude. Never. I've never seen people sitting in their cars screaming like this over something that happens in a room they can't control. Like, just don't care. Like, don't look at it. It's like walking down the sidewalk and there's a piece of shit. I just walk around it. I don't scream and yell at it.
Gosh, mental illness.
Mental illness is what it is, man. Probably a single mother household. It's usually what it boils down to. Let's see if I got anything else here bookmarked. Did we do the electric bike last week? This has got to be the gayest thing that I saw all week. We'll finish up on this note over here. It's a bad note too. You guys know that I'm a big motorcycle guy. Of course, I wrote about it in my book. Speakers in the exhaust pipe. It's like a fake pipe that doesn't go anywhere. It's empty on the other end. There's nothing there. And it has a speaker in the back of it. Right there. Can you see the speaker? Like that is...
Oh, to mimic the sound of the muffler.
Dude, I don't know. Like...
Oh, wow.
Don't.
Brutal.
Don't. Anyway. It's funny because a lot of people have been DMing me the last couple of weeks, Moff, and asking questions and this, that, and the other thing. And I keep telling them, call in on the show. This is when we're live. Da-da-da-da-da. It's like the link's there, guys. You missed your opportunity. You want a private chat? I'm not going to do it in my DM, but you can book me and we can talk privately. Got anything else before we wrap up, bud?
No, I would love to have more call-ins, man. I know you did an AMA show last week. I would love to have more guys calling in. I think we had one guy call in last week and got some good advice, and he's in the School of Unplugging and talking about business ideas. And it doesn't hurt. I mean, you guys know how much it costs to book Rich privately. Like, why not come in here during the show and just have a quick chat, man? I mean, you get 10, 15 minutes of the guy's time, and that stuff is invaluable. So, if you don't do it, then I got no sympathy for you. But yeah, we'd love to talk to you guys, man. We'd love to hear more of your thoughts on any of this stuff. And it doesn't have to be about, it could be about whatever you want. It could be about, getting in shape, fitness. It can get to be about, travel and this and that. Speak of the devil. Somebody just popped in. But it can be about anything you guys want, man. But this is a chance for you guys to call in and talk to us. So we're happy to do that.
All right, let's bring Jocelyn. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What's up, bro? I remember that mustache. You definitely have called in before, man. That thing is. I definitely forgot that. Yeah, for sure. All right, what do you got,
much. So I guess a little bit of advice, a little bit of just kind of a story. I've definitely started to notice, like in the real world, what you say, Rich, about how women don't care about your struggles. They wait at the finish line and pick the winners.
Yes.
So, like when I called in last time, Moff, I was talking to you. So I'm a volunteer firefighter. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and I'm working on going full time with it. But you know, being a divorced dad, having kids, having a job, like I can't just fast track it. You know, like I have to do my EMT courses in the evenings when there's time and when the semester permits and stuff like that. And so I'm still working on it. And I figured I'd call in since nobody else was calling in, but like, dude, I'm having a hell of a time getting women to stay interested because I'm in this like transitionary period. So I guess, or I feel like it's because of that. So I guess my question is, should I just write it off completely and just focus on getting where I'm going?
What are they doing? They're just bouncing on you, ghosting you?
Yeah, ghosting, talking for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, and then it just falls off.
Okay. Well, it looks like you're in good shape. You're not fat?
I'm working on some belly fat. I got a little bit of a beer gut.
Okay. Well, it's one area that you can try to improve. What are the sound bites that you're hearing? Like, what are they normally saying?
They're not usually saying anything. It's just like they're not matching effort. Like,
okay,
they show interest in the fact that they'll match with me. Like, I have no problem matching with women and matching with women who are attractive. But then, I don't know if it's just because they have so many options that's
one of the problems. Yeah,
their brain is just stuck in that like, ooh, something
How old are you?
new. I'm 34.
And what age range are you normally dating in?
Between 25 and 37, I would say.
And what are you looking for?
Honestly, I'm looking for a wife. I do want to be married again.
Why?
Because I want to have a family.
How many kids you got now?
I've got 2.
How old are they?
6 and 2.
No woman's going to give a shit about those kids, my friend. No matter how much you want them to, no matter how much they're going to, even if they tell you that they want to be a good example and, be a family and do things together. And, she loves your kids as much as she loves you and blah, blah, blah. Like, even if you get to that stage, that's all going to change. Women are not like men when it comes to raising other people's kids. They fucking hate it. Like, they just don't like it. They just really don't like it. And I don't think that you should set the expectation. And that's probably one of the things that's pushing them away too, because you're a single dad with small kids. And I've seen the same thing too, right? Like, when you have small kids, I mean, I had one kid when I was like dating when I got divorced, and I had a good chunk of rejection from women that were just like, yeah, I'm looking for a guy without kids, sort of thing. And then the even funnier part was like, you'd get gals that had kids and they would also say the same sort of thing. Like, oh, she's got like 3 kids from 3 different fathers. And she'd be like, oh, I'm looking for a guy without kids. It's like, are you fucking crazy? Right. I wouldn't aim to have a family by just like introducing a new woman into the household and being like, oh, or let's blend families, let's bring her 2 or 3 kids into the mix and we'll just sort of live together like the Brady Bunch. Like, have you thought this through?
I mean, I feel like I've thought it through.
What's your expectation? Like, what do you hope is going to happen? Like, she's going to treat them as her own?
I mean, yeah.
Are you open to more kids, Josh?
I'm on the fence. Part of me says yes if I met the right person, but at the same time, part of me's like, nah, dude, I've got one of each.
Because I think that's going to be a tall order. Like, I mean, I think it's going to be tough to have a woman that's just going to want to play stepmom, that's not going to want kids, of her own. I think you have a much better bargaining chip if you're willing to have another kid or 2 with this woman that, you bring into your life. But remind me again, like, why didn't it work out with you and your wife first off?
Oh, dude. So, I mean,
who left who? Like, because you have the kids, so I'm guessing like she's probably kind of nuts.
Well, we have joint custody.
Okay.
I have my daughter half the time. I'm a very involved dad. She checked out on me like pretty super hard after our son. Some of it was definitely due to postpartum depression, but honestly, I just think she didn't want to do it anymore and was too afraid to just tell me to hit the road. So I just nutted up and did it myself.
Yeah.
There's a subreddit. So if you search reddit.com step parents, before you create this contract in your head about I want to invite a woman into my house, introduce my kids, have a family sort of thing, just read that. Just read the stories that men and women are sharing. A lot of the times women are just like, I fucking hate these kids. Like, they're not mine.
Okay.
They do this, that, and the other thing over and over again, and I just fucking hate them. And I want to get out, and this was the stupidest choice that I ever made.
What was that subreddit called again?
Step parents.
Just step parents.
Yeah.
And Josh, subconsciously too, like I just want to make sure, like, again, you may not be thinking about it like this, but again, how busy you are and all this time and extra, like make sure you're not like, hey man, I'm looking for a wife because I'm looking for somebody to take care of the kids while I'm studying or while I'm working and things like that. You're not just looking to have that as a placeholder. Like this is a, you know, bringing anyone, a step parent into your house that doesn't share the DNA with your children and expecting them to love and care them as your own is foolish, potentially very dangerous, a dangerous situation. I mean, it is, I believe statistically, it is the most dangerous situation that you can put your kids in. I think Gad said that, you know, in all of his research, it's like introducing a step parent into the mix puts your kids at a greater risk for abuse than any other thing you could do to
It's
them.
even worse if the mom gets involved with a guy that's got sons.
Right.
Because now you've got the stepfather and you got the step siblings in the house. And if you have a daughter, I can't tell you how many women that I've talked to, you know, that I've dated, they're like, I grew up and my stepfather violated me, my stepbrother, da da da. It's like, holy shit. Like, it's very common. It's like, honestly, dude, like I know that they're young and you're like, yeah, I could use some help and all that shit would be good. Do you have your parents around?
No, my mom lives in Arizona and the rest of my family are all on the West Coast.
I mean, I know that they're young and you're like, you know, thinking, you know, what if I get a new gal in the house and maybe have another kid with her or something like that? But it's just like, dude, I've seen this movie over and over again, and it very, 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 very rarely ends the way that you're hoping that it's going to end. It usually ends in extra layers of chaos. So I would prepare for being a single father, raising those kids by yourself, and you'll do just fine, Josh. Like dads do a great job of raising their kids.
Better.
And just date. I mean, you're a good-looking guy. You're going to be a firefighter. You know, have some fun. And if women are starting to do like, hey, you know, I really dig your vibe. Where do we stand? Where's this going? You know, I know you got kids. You know, you open to more kids. I'd like to meet your kids, sort of thing. A lot of that's going to change when she starts spending. Like, again, go to that subreddit and read it. There's a lot of stories of like women that married men, had another child or two children with them, and they're just constantly complaining about the stepkids. And it's exhausting to read all of it, dude. Like, you'll get an idea when you go through it. It's not an ideal situation for you to be in right now, but I think if you recalibrate yourself and just say, look, you know, female company is great and it's fun, I like the intimacy sort of thing. If it turns into more, don't force it, don't ask for it, don't look for it. Make sure the actions match the words continuously. And when they stop matching the words, you fucking kick her out, man. That's it.
Okay.
Like, these are your kids.
Josh, you're on the right path, man. I mean, I think maybe you're in the Midwest. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, like, firefighting's a good gig, man. You make good money if you can, especially if you pull in a bunch of overtime, and it's dig firefighters, and it's also a great line of work to be in if you want to start a business on the side, or if you do anything trades wise, or you have, because you know most shifts are like 24 on, 24 off, or 48 on, 48 off. You're splitting time, even though you're working 40 hours. You know, you've got full days off. Obviously, you got the kids and things like that. So I think you're just going through a period where you just got to continue to stick it out, man. Like, this is just one of those times, like, you're in a valley right now, and you just got to keep pounding that fucking pavement and keep going after it. But yeah, I think that bringing the wrong woman into your life is going to be a lot more detrimental than raising the kids on your own. And I know it's a dichotomy, because you could find a great chick and all these things, you could prove us wrong and that sort of thing. And obviously it's your life and you're going to make your decisions. But, you know, we've been around the block. We've seen this with a lot of guys that are in our communities, and the subreddit Rich mentioned, you know, I've gone through it once or twice, and it's pretty harrowing stuff. So you've got time, but take that time to be very, very diligent with the way that you bring women around and vet them and all that kind of stuff, especially when your kids are so young and so impressionable.
Okay.
Modify your expectations. Read that subreddit. Go through a whole bunch of pages, and you'll see what people have to say about it. It's not what you think it is, dude. It's not. It's definitely not the Brady Bunch for sure.
Okay.
And I've dated a chick with kids. I mean, I did it for 3 years, and it's like those little brats were the most unappreciative pricks after a while. They it just was not good, and I didn't get the same. Dude, even if you meet a hot chick with kids, she's a smoke show, and you're doing all the right things, like take Billy out and zero in the scope on his BB gun and teach him how to ride mountain bikes and take him to the gun range and shoot real guns and do cool shit with them and travel with them and pay for stuff and go to the places they like to eat and all this shit. You have the responsibility of a parent without the authority. And on the flip side, when women get involved in your kid's life, they want authority but without any responsibility. They want to be able to tell them to pick up shit and make their bed and do this, that, and the other thing, and they'll be terse about it, but they don't want to have any parental responsibility. They just want parental authority. So those things flip. I talk about that very briefly in a couple sections of the book, but yeah, go through the subreddit. You'll get an idea and just recalibrate yourself, man. You'll be fine. Like once you get you know what the unplugging process is, right? Like it's difficult. You don't like it. It kind of rubs you the wrong way, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I'm more than 3/4 of the way through the unplugging process, but I think there's still really what it is. Like, I just miss having a family unit. Like,
your best chance for that is to get back with your kid's mom, to be honest with you, if you want a family unit, which is probably not the best idea. It's like taking a shit and trying to shove it back up your ass. It's not the best idea in the world. It just doesn't really work, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's, believe it or not, that's probably your best chance to have a adult in the house that's genuinely interested in being a family and raising those kids. But if she's not there, or she's got postpartum, or she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or whatever, you really can't make it work. So I've seen a lot of dads that kind of resign themselves. And I've kind of done this, myself, or just my kid's a teenager now. I mean, out of the house probably in, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever the hell it is, depending on what post secondary school looks like. I've just kind of been, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't want another woman to, pretend to be interested, to get into my good graces. I don't care. It's not worth it in my experience, is what I'm saying. And I'm the guy that's talked to a lot of dudes about stuff like this and, experienced a lot of dumb shit myself. Right.
Okay.
So take it for what it's worth.
No, I appreciate that. I'll check out that subreddit.
Yeah. Just go through it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right, man.
Sounds good.
Josh, thank you, man.
Yeah. Good to see you guys.
See you, bud.
Likewise, bro.
All right. It's good to get a call in. Good.
Yeah.
That was a really good question. I mean, I'm glad
fantastic.
I mean, I'm glad we caught him, because it's like, look, okay, so what's the plan? It's like, I really want a family. And it's like, I know the feeling, and I know that they're going to say the right things and you're going to hear the right things. You're going to be like, oh, this chick actually fucking cares. This chick actually loves me and loves my kid and wants to be a part of it and is going to do all the right things. But they'll do it for a little while until they get frustrated with your kid, and they can be great kids too. They'll just find some fucking shit about your kid that they don't like, and they'll make a mountain out of a molehill, and it's just like the whole thing. Forget it. Save your time.
Yeah, the evil stepmother stereotype exists for a reason.
Boom. There's no evil stepfather stereotype. Hansel and Gretel, evil stepmother was the catalyst in that equation. Cinderella, evil stepmother. It's in all the children's stories. There's no evil stepfather. Anyway, we'll wrap it up on that note, guys. Thanks for watching the show. Do all the things in the comment. We'll be back. You're on tomorrow night at 7, is it, for ladies' night?
7 o'clock Eastern. Same as always.
There you go, guys. You'll have a good show with that. Have a good laugh. All right, guys. If you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.